What's up, techies? Josh here at Bane Tech, and I got my friend here, Shane, DroidModderX, hanging out, and we figured this is the perfect opportunity to do a video together. And we're going to talk about what's on our Android, and we both got Nexus 6Ps here, and we're just kind of discussing some of the stuff that we got on here so we can kind of plan, and we're almost like polar opposites. Like, I've got my phone all tricked out, and he's just over here with
just about nothing. I'm kind of playing Jane and it up over here.
But he's got some pretty cool stuff to talk about as far as how he gets to where he does with the different kind of setups that he has, a few apps and stuff like that. What's on my Android? I know some of you probably might ask. This is the Poetic Affinity case. This is a case I can't get away from. I review a ton of cases for phones, and this is the one I keep on coming back to. And typically I don't like clear cases, and this one just seems to do the job. You can watch my review. I'll put a link down below so you can see all those details. I'm using an Orsley tempered glass screen protector. I always like tempered glass screen protectors to protect my stuff. But he's got a Varus case.
This is the High Pro Shield case. And it's like super cheap, but it looks cool. And no screen protector whatsoever. It's just straight up naked glass. Just like the feel of that glass. So no screen protectors.
Yeah, and we were just talking about how Varus, like, we've done quite a few Varus case videos and stuff, and they had some trouble getting going with this particular case with the 6P, but they finally kind of figured it out. So if you got any kind of questions like that, it's they're good to go now. There's no problems. But that's what's on our Androids physically. We want to talk about some of the apps, maybe some of the setups that we have. Do you want to start out with some of the stuff that you typically just kind of put on your phone every time?
Sure. Yeah, like, well, obviously, you know, there's the social media stuff. I'm on Twitter nonstop all day, so Twitter goes on there instantly. Got to keep up with the wife and kids, so Facebook goes on there instantly. And, of course, I've got YouTube and the YouTube Creators app, and then XDA application is on there. Even though my phone is plain Jane right now, I am, like, kind of a ROM flashaholic. So I'm always on XDA, kind of cruising the forums. And there's a reason why I don't have a ROM on my Nexus 6P right now. We'll get into that. For now, it's pretty much just plain Jane. I have a few other little applications that we'll get into for a minute or so here later.
Do you use stock Twitter, or do you use a different kind of app?
Just use stock Twitter.
Same here. I've tried to use some of the other ones, and they're kind of cool and stuff, but it seems like I get more instant notifications with Twitter on the stock Twitter, I guess you would call it.
Well, you know, I tried to use the other third-party Twitter apps, and then I just got tired of, well, you know, we've run out of tokens and you just switched ROMs and now you can't install the application that you paid for. And so that kind of frustrated me a little bit, and I got away from using the third-party Twitter apps and just went straight to stock Twitter.
I used to use Falcon all the time, but then they started running into the token stuff, and that app just kind of, while it's still pretty cool, it just kind of tanked in a sense. But yeah, I just use the Twitter one. Plus, there's times where, like, you know, Twitter only allows you to have 25 apps connected to it. So at some point, it won't even send you notifications, so you got to go back and reset it. So it's just better just to stick with Twitter itself. As far as apps go, I get a ton. Like, I do a ton of apps every time. And one of the cool things about ever since Android Lollipop is that you don't have to necessarily have a backup. You can just load it from a previous day, or like it'll guess like 2 weeks from then. But also you got where you can basically just beam it. Like, if you got another Android device laying around, you can just load the apps off of that plus your accounts. Yeah. That's pretty cool. It's like less stuff that you have to type in. If you're rooted, of course, you can do, you know, the Nandroid backups and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, so like used to, you really had to rely on Titanium backup. Was one that I used religiously.
Right.
And now pretty much like what you said, you boot it up and then it asks you want to just, you know, update from a previous phone, and so that's pretty much what I go with now.
Yeah.
Which is super easy because, I mean, you just click OK and then it downloads all the apps instantly and you're good to go.
Yeah. Since we're kind of on the topic of ROMs and stuff like that, I am running pure Nexus ROM on this. I did a previous video about it and I touched on a lot of different features, but the feature that brought me back to making this my daily driver ROM is Android Pay. And especially with Android Pay has that new promo out, or it's fixing to come out. I think it's like the 1st, 2nd, 6th tap to pay that you do, you get a free song, and then on the 10th one you get a free Chromecast. So I'm, you know, trying to amp myself up to get that kind of stuff. But I do like to use Android Pay. It's funny in my town, I don't know how it is around here, but if I use any kind of mobile payment system, it's like what are you doing? They have no idea what's going on.
People still, they freak out around here too. Like, they have no clue.
They have, they really, I was at Panera Bread, and I was excited about that because I hardly ever go to Panera Bread anyways. And, I saw that they had the Android Pay, Apple Pay, and all that kind of stuff on there. But normally you see the logo on the machine itself, but when the screen pops up, that's when you see the logo. I was like, so I asked her, am I supposed to tap the screen? She was like, I don't know. So I was like, I just tapped the screen and it actually worked. So anyways, that's what I'm running now. And I'm also running a theme with Layers, because it's the Layers app that works with Pure Nexus. Some ROMs, they use the CM theme engine, which is another great way to do it. But I'm using what's called PEAF, P-E-A-F, and that's the theme that I'm using for that. So down here at the bottom, I have these Batman symbols, and where I get that is from the Layers Manager. And there's this app called Navigate, and it's a pretty cool app. It's got tons of like superheroes. It's got some really cool like material kind of designs, and you can just add that to your navigation bar and things like that. So it's pretty cool that you can really customize every intricate detail with this particular ROM. Beanstown is the developer. He's a very well-known developer in that community. He's been around for years now too. He's we were just talking about how I got to meet Jay Rummy at the Android Barbecue, and he's been around for years. I think he's been in the game just almost as long as he has, I think. Yeah,
I had no clue that he had a 6P ROM out actually.
You got Pure Nexus. There's Resurrection Remix that came onto the scene recently. And there's Chroma, but we don't talk about Chroma because there's some drama involved with that guy.
Is there not a Beans Marshmallow or anything like that? Because it used to be Beans Gingerbread, Beans Lollipop.
I think he's just named it Pure Nexus this time. But yeah, Beanstown, I think he's got a bunch of other phones that he supports with that particular ROM. Another good ROM, if you want to check out that kind of stuff, is Dirty Unicorns. You've got to join their community to get the information on all the downloads. They're actually not on XDA, which is a normal place to get that kind of stuff. That's the ROM info. That's like when I'm running. That's kind of what I'm going to go back to. I'm going to be still doing the reviews, but I'm probably going to be running Pure Nexus ROM as my daily driver. Camera. I'm curious, do you use the stock camera on the 6P?
Absolutely.
Just Google camera?
Yeah.
No,
sir. He wants to sell us his guitar.
We just got asked if we play guitar. By someone
I
random.
$20 if it's a nice guitar, I guess.
Yeah, resell it or something, But I don't use the stock camera on this because if I'm ever shooting a video, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but the tap to focus doesn't work as well as like if you had the Note 5. So I've downloaded some apps, like I think it's Open Camera and Better Camera. You can do the tap to focus while shooting videos, so that way it stays on where you want it to stay on. On Google Camera, it kind of it loses focus after if you have so much movement or something like that.
I don't really shoot enough video with my 6P to have noticed.
Right.
I've had no issues with focus, taking pictures, which is really what I use my phone for, is shooting pictures.
I've said this a few times in some videos, but I've actually used my Note 5 for some of my YouTube videos just because of the pure fact that it's just that good of a camera. Yeah. The audio is superb on it, for one. Like, you don't have to clean it much, but it's also just easy just to kind of pop it onto a kind of like a selfie tripod and just start shooting if you have to just throw something together real quick.
Take a look at Danny Wiggins' channel. Just about all he does is...
I think one of his most recent ones, he had done a video. He said everything was shot on his Note 5 and iPhone 6s.
Yeah.
So he gets, granted, he does get the really nice tripods and all that kind of stuff that makes the really nice crisp movements, the buttery stuff. Other than social media apps, I'm running stuff like for information, like UPS and FedEx, trying to check on packages that are coming. Some entertainment kind of stuff, some of the Chromecast, Allcast, some entertainment kind of stuff like that, Showbox. Fantasy games, sports, things like that.
So you have Showbox, huh?
I do have Showbox.
Okay.
I was using Popcorn Time for a little while, but there was a lot of crap with that.
Don't use Popcorn Time unless you want to go to jail.
Yeah.
You can use Popcorn Time.
So I ditched that when all that stuff went down. But I've used Showbox here and there. It's like basically if Hulu isn't showing it, or if we're having problems with Hulu, I'll load that up and just cast it to my TV.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's Netflix and Hulu, which pretty much they have all the shows updated, especially on Hulu. What's this guy doing?
As soon as
with right now. All right, so Shane, before we wrap up the video, you said that you had some stuff that you wanted to
Oh yeah,
cover.
I've got some pretty cool stuff on my phone. As I said, it's kind of plain Jane. I actually went, and as soon as CyanogenMod came out with CM13 official builds, I went and grabbed like one of the first nightlies, and of course it's one of the first nightlies, so it's full of bugs. I pretty much started having to charge my 6P at about 3 o'clock, and I'm like, what's up with that? Because I wasn't having to charge it at all.
It's like, this isn't the Galaxy S6 here, you know?
Right, yeah. Yeah, just nightmares of the old Galaxy S6. So I had to get rid of that pretty quick. As soon as I go back to stock Android, I mean, I'm sitting here on one charge. It's, what, almost 10 o'clock? I unplugged my phone at 6:30 this morning, and I've still got 25%.
Yeah,
and I've been using my phone all day. I've probably got at least 4 hours screen on time, so I had to go back to stock. And I'm going to check out some of the ROMs that you mentioned earlier for sure, because, you know, I am a flashaholic. So
yeah, Pure Nexus and Dirty Unicorns are pretty solid.
Okay, so seriously, just apps that I use all the time go on my home screen. So I've got Gmail, Twitter, and YouTube. That's pretty much everything that I use in Chrome. And then if we go into my app drawer, there's basically nothing. So the only thing that I really use all the time here, I work for AT&T, and so I've got this 2-click pick. It helps me to find cable pairs. If you work for AT&T, you know what I'm talking about. That was pretty cool, I thought. And then I just started using this other app today, which is awesome for anybody on a tiered data plan or a shared data plan. Opera Max is actually kind of like an extension to your browser, and it works for YouTube and Netflix to basically cut your data usage in half. So I'll actually be doing a full review video of this later on, but you guys can see just from one day, I actually saved 187 megabytes on YouTube, and I only actually used 179. There are some downsides to the application because obviously it's downloading it to their server and then sending it back to you, compressing the video. That's why you're able to save so much on your data. But if you're on like a shared plan, you're only getting 10 gigabytes. This would be a really great way to save on some of that data. But other than that, we're just kind of plain Jane for now. I'm definitely going to check out, yeah, I've got Showbox too. Stitcher is where I view all my podcasts. Google Rewards is awesome because you can do little surveys, but whatever you do not lie on Google Rewards, they'll kick you out. Basically, just always tell the truth on that thing. The truth will set you free anyways. But you can rack up like little 50-cent credits here and there. And right now I've got like $45. Most of that coming from the rewards application. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much what I have. I have Slack. That's for like business chatting. Nothing else really going on. Just a pretty simple, plain setup here.
Well, that's going to be pretty much covering everything that's on our phones. You know, we didn't go into every app because that would just be really long, especially with two different guys using their phones and stuff. But mainly wanted to talk about like what I'm running on my phone, like as far as ROMs go. I'm like Shane though. I'm a flashaholic, so if I see like a new update on a new ROM or like a ROM puts out a new update, I'm like, I gotta try it out. So I'll end up flashing it and stuff. But as far as apps go, all the social media, you know, communication kind of stuff, you know, just stuff that gets me through the day, because I use my phone all day for almost everything for life.
I mean, I'm checking it. It's kind of like an extension of my hand, which it's bad, but
yeah.
4.5 hours of screen on time, it's like every day, which that's pathetic, but it is what it is.
But it's cool. But yeah, I'm excited that I got to meet Shane for the first time. This is the first time we've ever met. We grabbed the bite to eat before this, grabbed some Dickie's barbecue.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. If you ever have a Dickie's around you, it's good stuff. I wish we had one in my town. But yeah, it was fun to meet up. I was telling him how it was fun to meet Tom and some of the other YouTubers at the Angel Barbecue. And hopefully we'll be able to do this pretty soon. I might be sometime next month. So.
By the way, I'm not this short. I'm just standing about 20 feet back. You know, I'm not 5'8" at all. I'm just standing 20 feet back. That's all.
The first thing he said to me was like, wow, you're tall.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's what I said to Tom when I met him at the barbecue. It was funny. But yeah, this is a fun video. I'm glad we got to do something together. Stay tuned for more stuff like this. Subscribe to our channels. We'll leave links down below in the description of where you can do that at. And until then, stay techie.
See ya.
Can you step closer?
Yeah.
Try-
They're gonna be like giant.
we got
midget.
this height.
Where's the? I need a crate.
we need a booster seat for you.
Yeah. Just do my tippy toes. See, not that short. I might
have to do my squats.